Next question comes from Parmenion 1978, and he asks, is there any chance that... Sorry, this is a German question, so I have to translate it. Can it happen that you go to any events in terms of retro, like a convention, a fair / trade fair / museum where we can meet you? This is roughly translated. Not that I know about, or let's say not in the near future, because I don't really follow any updates for those subjects like trade fairs or museums in terms of retro games or whatever. And also, I have no plans to go to any events or conventions, so not in the near future, sorry. Next question from him is, what are the opinions of your fiance on your hobby? I hope that was correct. Since she's also a gamer and she likes video games, there's no problem regarding my hobby, and she also understands why I collect. So yeah, in the end she actually understands why I like video games, why I collect video games. So yeah, she understands it. Next question is, what was the reason for you to start collecting video games and video game systems? And what he means is, at which point did I really started to collect video games? At which point did I knew that I wanted to start collecting video games? So actually what started for me collecting video games was this one, Goldcliff. I actually answered the same question, or almost the same question, 1 year ago in my 2-year Retro Game Boy Q&A special, but yeah, I'm gonna answer it again. So like I said, this started it all. It is Goldcliff, the Nintendo Game & Watch multi-screen game. I've seen it. I was in a shopping mall and I came across a second-hand video game store, and this was lying in one of their showcases. And when I saw it, I more or less got nostalgic, and I had this as a teenager, so I went inside. 1 day later I bought it, I got it at home, I played it a little bit, and I found it was really cool. And I remembered that they also had a couple of other Game & Watch games, and later on I went back to that store and I bought another one, and then it just came to me like, hey, which was the first of the multi-screens? Then I got online and searched about the history of the Nintendo Game & Watch games, and then I started collecting Game & Watch games. Then I also thought about stuff that I had as a child or as a teenager, so I bought a Commodore Amiga and started collecting Commodore Amiga games. And then also I bought an NES because this was a system that I always wanted to have but I never had, so I started collecting for those. And at some point I realized that I have become a collector. While I was buying this Game & Watch and all the other Game & Watch, it never occurred to me that, hey, I have become a collector. Months later I realized, hey, I have some stuff now that is old, that's is retro stuff and retro video games and retro systems. And then I realized, hey, I have become a video game collector, a retro collector. So I can't tell you at which point it really was, or the date or anything, but all started with this one, with Goldcliff, the Nintendo Game & Watch multiscreen. And the last question that he has is there also a big retro hype in Austria like in Germany, or has there been or has there started a big retro hype in Austria like in Germany? And actually, I don't know it, and I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I don't, I'm not that updated when it comes to any retro events or anything, but just what I experienced, I don't think so that we have a real retro hype in Austria. I know there are a lot of people in Austria / in Vienna that collect retro video games, retro systems. Some of them have also a YouTube channel, and I know those persons because they have a YouTube channel, and also I know some collectors who which doesn't have a YouTube channel, but I know that they also collect. So like I said, I don't think that there is actually a really retro hype in Austria. Okay, the next questions come from HollowMan3105, and he asks, which games or which systems do you still need for your collection, which you don't have, but you haven't got them because they are too rare or too expensive? I thought a little bit about this question, and actually the only things that came up to my mind were I still wanna have Zelda's Adventure for the CDI. It's not really that rare, but it's super expensive. I guess you can say it goes normally on eBay for at least 200 euros, which is about 250 US dollars. And this is the price that you at least have to pay, so it's super expensive. Thank you, Angry Video Game Nerd. But yeah, this is one game that I would want to have someday in my collection and that I would want to play someday. But yeah, this and another game that I could think about was Wings of Fury. It's not that super expensive, I mean the Commodore Amiga version. It's kind of rare. It's not always on. You can't always find a copy on eBay. But yeah, it is still rare, and I guess the normal prices, if it's on eBay, is normally around the 100 euros / 120, 150 US dollars. So it's also a rare and expensive game. And for systems, yeah, I mean, okay, mentioned this also in the last Q&A video, that yeah, this would be a cool system to have, the NTEX Adventure Vision. Super rare system and super expensive if you can actually find it. But beside this tabletop system, I could only think about consoles / models that I would want to have of a system that I already have, like for instance the Super Graphics from NEC, which is kind of a PC engine, but it was actually supposed to be a next generation console. It's pretty rare, the system, and it's also pretty expensive, but this is really a system that I would want to have someday in my collection. And the other one that I could think about is the PC Engine LT, because it's super rare and super expensive, and it's basically a portable PC engine like the PC Engine GT or the Turbo Express. Okay, but those are my answers. Next he asks, will there be some more video game reviews in the near future / in the future of some of some more Commodore Amiga games / Commodore 64 games? And yeah, the answer to that is definitely. I can't tell you when the next video game review of Commodore Amiga game or Commodore 64 game will be released from me, but there are still some cool Commodore Amiga games left that I really want to review, and also some Commodore 64 games that I really wanted to show. And yeah, so definitely. Good. Next person is ATS, and he asks, what are your rarest items in your collection and how much are they worth? I actually don't know what is really the rarest things or items in my collection. Two systems that I know that are pretty rare and expensive and that I more or less would classify as my rarest items are the Pioneer Laser Active with the Sega pack, and yeah, how much is worth? I would say that easily it's at least worth about 300 euros / 400 US dollars. But I guess if I would actually sell this system, then I would actually reach a higher price. And the other system is I have an NEC Turbo Duo in almost mint condition, with the box, with manual and everything. And this is actually super hard to find, and if you can find it, those systems are super expensive. And yeah, I would also guess, at least in the condition that my Turbo Duo is, with the box and everything, I would at least get 450 euros / 600 US dollars. So yes, those are two of my rarest and also most expensive things that I have in my collection. Next question is, how much is your whole collection worth, roughly? Again, this is a question that I can't answer, and especially if you say how much is it worth. There are so many games and so many systems that have a variety or a big range from the lowest price that you can sell a system to the highest price that it actually reached or can reach. So there's a lot of speculation, even if I would try to add all the numbers of my collection. But you know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna roughly guess my entire collection is about worth about 20,000 euros / 25,000 US dollars. Okay, let's continue. I really like your reviews. I think they are very interesting. Are there going to be some more in the future? Yes, definitely. And because there are still a lot of systems that I have not reviewed, and yeah, the next review that I'm gonna make, I already mentioned this in a couple of videos before, and this time it's going to be the next video that I'm gonna upload on YouTube. I'm gonna review the Sega CD / the Sega Mega CD, because a lot of people requested that I should do a review, and actually, yeah, I already mentioned it that my next system review is going to be the Sega CD / the Mega CD review. So yes, I'm gonna do some more system reviews in the future, and yeah, the next one is the Sega CD / Mega CD. Okay, next question comes from Murray EFC 78, and he asks, which console or handheld is your guilty pleasure? By that I mean, maybe it wasn't a commercial success, but there's just something about that console you just really enjoy. It's actually a simple answer for me. It's the 3DO. I really like the 3DO, even though it was a commercial. It wasn't a commercial success, but I really like the systems. I like the controllers. I like the games, especially the long boxes. So for me it's the 3DO. This is my guilty pleasure. The next question is from Lilac Floyd, and he asks, what is your favorite system? Commodore Amiga 500. What was your first console/computer system? It was the Atari 2600 Junior. What do your friends/family think about your game collection? Yeah, some people understand it, some people don't understand it, and in the end, if I know that this person, if a person is not interested in that kind of stuff, then I don't bother them by talking to them about my collection or anything. So those people who know that I have this video collection, yeah, some people say, hey, that's cool, some people say, okay, whatever, and some people say, are you nuts? So yeah, some understand it, some don't understand it. Okay, next question. Do you work in the gaming industry? No. No, I don't work in the gaming industry, and even if I could work in the gaming industry, I actually would not know what I wanted to do in the gaming collection, in the gaming industry. I guess if I would have to pick something, I guess it would be level designer, but don't quote me on that. Okay, next question. You speak excellent English. Have you ever been to the UK or the US? Well, first, thanks for the roses / for the feedback. I know my English skills are good, but not really that good. So again, thanks for the roses. But yes, me and my brother / my family, well, actually, I have been to the United States, I guess 4 or 5 times, maybe even 6 times, and that's all thanks to our parents, because thanks to them, and thanks for the passion for the US and also our passion. Yeah, because of, you know, from television what you see, the huge cities and all the cool cars and everything, we were a little bit American nuts, let's call it like that. So that's the reason why we actually traveled a couple of times, had vacation in America, and it was pretty cool. So I was 4 or 5 times in the United States. I also, yeah, was a couple of times in London, but not because of vacation, because we had to get from one plane to another plane. So for the most part it was just at the airport, getting from one gate to another gate to get to another plane. So I can't really say that I was really in England. Only one time we had to drive from one airport to another airport, which was almost on the other side of the town, and I guess it was London. So we had to take a bus drive, or we had to drive from one airport to the other, and I guess the bus drive took about half an hour or 1 hour, so we drove through the city some kind, but this doesn't count as being in the UK. So in the end, yes, I have been 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 times in America, and 0 times in the UK. So the next question is, what are your thoughts on the future of gaming in either Android, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, etc.? Okay, now I can't say anything about Android games. I don't play Android games, and I also don't know much about Android games. And yeah, my thoughts on the future of gaming. Well, I hope that not that much changes in the future in terms of gaming, because yeah, like I said, I'm more or less a single player and I don't play that much online, but in the end everything points to online gaming, multiplayer gaming, more or less being online to game. And this is also exactly the same strategy that Microsoft is using right now with the next generation slash with the Xbox One. And yeah, like I said, it's not the way that I want to see the future of gaming, but it can happen that in the future it is going to more online slash always online, or every 24 hours you have to be online in order to play the system, the games. Yeah, and like I said, Microsoft is following this strategy because they think this is the future of gaming, since we also have some other stuff that works more or less the same way, like on the PC with Steam, I guess it is called. I don't know much about all the PC stuff with Steam, and yeah, and now with Microsoft with the cloud and whatever. Because it's not interesting for me, or it's not something that I'm looking forward, or that's that I want to have, or that I want to really experience. And it was kind of surprising when I saw the E3 press conference of Sony, because here's the thing. Microsoft is a big company, Nintendo is a big company, and Sony is a big company. At least, you know, with video game consoles. I'm not talking about the PC or anything, just with video game consoles. And yeah, since Nintendo already released the Wii U, there are only 2 new next generation consoles, like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And I feared, let's call it like that PlayStation, or say Sony, also wanted to move in that direction, because if 2 big companies from the same field, let's say it like that, would more or less join forces, or give the consumers a way that they wanted to change the industries. Like if Sony also had said that you know, you have to be online also to play single player games, and also the stuff that they said about second-hand game market and all that stuff. If they would have followed the same strategy as Microsoft, then you had 2 big companies, and the next both of the next generation of consoles that would more or less join forces or follow the same strategy, then let's say the market for the normal single players and everything would get yeah, very small. So if you really would wanted to experience the real next generation games with amazing graphics and everything, so that you would have to convert from, let's say, being a single player to a multiplayer, and to the idea that you have to be online, and or at least every 24 hours you have to be online in order to experience the new games. So it actually surprised me that Sony said that, hey, if you want, you can be online, but you don't have to be online. You can still be a single player, and you don't have to connect it to the internet, the PlayStation 4. And also, if you want, you can trade your games, you can sell your games, you can do with them whatever you want. And this is pretty cool, and I was actually surprised that they really announced that, because yeah, if both companies followed the same direction, then maybe if we really get to the point in the future where all the games are only digital downloads 100%, or you have to be connected 24/7 in order to play the games, yeah, it would get faster into the direction. But you know, this is all speculation, and I would not like to see that gaming would go into this direction, but I guess at some point we come to this direction, and yeah, but I hope that's years, decades down the road for me, because it's not the way that I want that gaming changes in this direction. But okay, some other things that I also wrote down for this answer is that maybe it can happen that we actually get an idea from the late 80s / early 90s, and that is virtual reality. I mean, now it looks like we're at the time where we have the technology to get really that virtual reality that was always announced from other companies in the 90s, or that everybody dreamed of. And two things that I know that are more or less in developing right now, or that gets checked out to be used in virtual reality, is one, the Oculus Rift. This is a headset with a cool monitor inside, and they also have some splitters also that you get that 3D feeling. Mostly because people commented on my I guess it was the Virtual Boy review, that they said, hey, there's this new thing called Oculus Rift, check it out. And I've watched a couple of videos, and it's actually pretty cool what I've seen so far. There was one video with Jamie Heineman from the Mythbusters, where he tried the Oculus Rift out a little bit, and it's pretty cool because you can look in every directions, and so but it's not really in developing, or in the developing. They actually they made some prototypes which work pretty cool, or let's say pretty good. And the second device that I saw just one day ago was a thing called Omni, and as far as I know, this is some kind of a Kickstarter program where some guys built a prototype, and that is more or less a base, or it's more or less some kind of an accessory / a base where the player would stand in, and it looks really like the very expensive prototypes of virtual reality, where you stand in some kind, not machine, but some kind of a podest. I guess it's called podest podest is the German word, but yeah, it's some kind of platform that you stand on, and then there's something that holds the person in place, so you don't walk around in a room or something, but you can actually move on this platform, and you can walk in all directions that you want. Everything moves, and they told in this video how this should work out if this program actually gets financed, and they showed this I can't talk right now. They showed this platform, and they said, hey, this is just a prototype, this is built out of wood and everything. So it can be in developing, and they actually developed some prototypes which actually work. So it can happen that somewhere, let's say in 5-10 years, maybe it is actually able to get some kind of a virtual reality. I guess even if this would be released, it would still be very expensive, but hey, maybe we get now virtual reality. And yeah, I mean, I have here a lot of things written down that I actually really wanted to talk about, and most of the stuff is actually because of the Xbox One, but you know, I don't want to really beat on this system or badmouth this system or anything. In the end, it's not made for me. Their strategy that Microsoft is following is not really for me or for many other gamers. I mean, one way is actually that Microsoft tries to sell the system as a multimedia system, and actually for me it's a little bit funny that they tried this now with a multimedia system, because no multimedia system actually was a success, at least not one that I can think of right now. And the basic idea of a multimedia system in the end is okay, because it's like, hey, you have one system that does everything or plays everything. But this is also the drawback of the system, because if you really have just one thing that plays music, that can play your DVDs, Blu-rays, plays your games, everything, and controls your TV, what if this breaks? Then nothing works if you don't have any other devices in your living room, let's say. So this is always the one major drawback of a multimedia device. If one thing can play it all or do it all, if this thing breaks, then nothing works. So it's actually pretty yeah. But yeah, like I said, no multimedia system ever really was successful. I mean, the only one, but which I would say was successful, wasn't advertised as a multimedia device, and that was the PlayStation 2, because the PlayStation 2 at the time it was released was a very powerful system, and also the first DVD player that many, really many people actually bought as the first DVD player. And yeah, I don't know the numbers right now, but just 1 second. The book knows everything, or almost everything. What does it say about PlayStations? PlayStation. Yeah, the book says 80 million systems were sold. I guess it's not 100% true, but yeah. So the PlayStation 2 was kind of a multimedia system, but it wasn't the strategy of Sony to advertise the system out as a multimedia device. So yeah, but in the end, it's also for me as a gamer, or in my opinion, and again, I don't have anything about Nintendo, I don't have anything about Sony, and I definitely don't have anything about Microsoft. But for me personally, I would like, or it would be better for me if this new system, the Xbox One, would fail, because then Microsoft would have to reconsider the strategy and maybe turn into the other way to give the gamers what they want. So you don't have to be online all the time to play those games, and maybe also with the second-hand game market or whatever. But this is just my opinion. So I don't think it will be a failure, because I know that a lot of people, yeah, they're not that interested in the fact that what many of the collectors / reviewers or whatever say, that hey, in 10 years your system is not going to work. They will say that that doesn't interest me at all or anything, or I don't care because I want to game now, I want to play now, and yeah, I don't care what happens in the next 10 years or whatever. I'm only interested in now, or yeah, in today, or in the next year or whatever. Okay, but I guess I should go on with the next question, because yeah, I already talked too much about this question / this answer. The next one comes from Jacob Sneepor, and he asks, what are your opinions on Pokemon? And for instance, he means the N64 and the Game Boys, the Pokemon edition of those systems, and also what are my opinions on the games, since you could actually build a bigger collection just by collecting those. And since he didn't saw anything on my channel about Pokemon, he wanted to know yeah, my opinions, because Pokemon is a very big name in gaming slash yeah, from Nintendo. It's a big name, Pokemon, also like Mario. So what are my opinions and why don't I have anything about Pokemon? And yeah, the answer is actually pretty simple. I have nothing against Pokemon. Actually, I think it's cool that they released some special editions like the N64 in the Pokemon design, or anything which shows that it has become a big franchise, and yeah, a title that has a fan base, a pretty big one and everything. But in the end, the reason why I don't have anything is that I'm really not into Pokemon. Even at the time it came out, I never was interested in Pokemon. I watched maybe 2 episodes because they were on the TV, and yeah, just for fun I watched them. But yeah, in the end, yeah, I don't have anything against it. I think it's okay, but I don't care about it. Next question comes from Dennis Mennel, and he asks, what are your opinion on the Interton Electronic VC4000? And I know he asks this because he recently bought one very cheaply, and yeah, in the end he just wanted to know what are my opinions on it. And the funny thing is that yeah, I don't really have much opinions on the Interton Electronic VC4000. I know it's kind of a competition, or it was kind of a competition to the Atari 2600, because it was released in 1978, as I remember. And this is the Interton VC4000. It looks really interesting, and the funny thing is, when I started collecting in one of the second-hand stores where I started to buy my first games, let's call it like that, for my collection, and this was also this was the only store that was my favorite store when it so I bought a lot of stuff in this store. The only real drawback was this store was on the other side of Vienna, so yeah, it was a pain in the eye to drive to that store. So I only went there every yeah, at the first week of every month. So after I've got paid from work, I went there and I spent there a lot of money. And actually this store had an Interton VC4000 with the box in awesome condition. And one time I actually asked the guy who worked at the shop that I was really interested in the Interton, but he said, you know, he really likes it. He has it since he opened up the store, and yeah, he didn't want to sell me that system. He would have he hadn't had any idea how much it is worth. So I've seen it, but I never played it, and yeah, I think it's cool for a collector. And I've seen some gameplay on the internet of some games, and they look like Atari 2600 games. But yeah, I think it's a cool thing that I also don't have in my collection. So yeah, I guess it was a good buy for you. Okay, next question comes, or the next questions come from Mooch Booch, and he asks, number one, when I first saw the Commodore Amiga system, I was obviously shocked by its capabilities. Unusual is that not graphics, but the music was the thing that blew away my mind. When I finally got my own Amiga, I often turn on some games just to listen to this incredible music. Do you share this feeling, or am I just weird? And a smiley face. Yes, I do share this feeling, not 100%, but I do share this feeling, and I don't think that you're weird. I mean, for me, both blew me away. The graphic capabilities on the Commodore Amiga and also the music. And I also sometimes just turned on the system and loaded some kind of some specific game just because I wanted to hear the music or to watch an intro or anything. But I didn't. I rarely did this because back in the days, me and my brother, we actually had the Commodore Amiga connected to a stereo system, and in the end we actually recorded a couple of tapes just with video game music, so that we don't had to load the game just to listen to the music. So we always recorded the music to a tape, and then after that we could listen to this tape with all this cool music from the games. Next question. Music from which games do you like the most? Oh, there are so many cool soundtracks, especially on the Commodore Amiga. So just from the Amiga games, Lost Patrol, the soundtrack is awesome. The intro music of USS John Young, amazing. Yeah, the Lotus Turbo Esprit series 1, 2 and 3, the soundtrack, amazing. Platoon, also cool soundtrack. Outrun Europe, Arpedia, and Harley Davidson also has an awesome intro music, and there are so many others. So pointy. Yeah. Next question. Nope, you have plenty of systems, but do you own PC-DOS era system / early Windows system? In my opinion, it was a very good time for gaming and many great titles were released. What do you think about retro PC gaming? Old PC, if I have an old PC era system, yes, I have 486 DX2/66, just almost the same one like I had back in the days, and it also has a Windows. It has DOS 6.2 on it, I guess, and Windows 3.11, if I'm not entirely wrong. So I have an old PC-DOS / Windows system. And what do you think about retro PC gaming? It was awesome, and I also really like it. I have a lot of PC-DOS games, and yeah, for me, I think it was also cool. A cool time for gaming. Like I said before, I never experienced the 386 days, but I experienced the 486 era or the 486 time of PC gaming, and the change from the PC speaker to the Sound Blaster and everything. So, and the first 3D acceleration cards and everything. So this was actually a pretty cool time for gaming. Okay, the next question comes from the Game Samler, and he asks, what is your most expensive game in your collection, and how many consoles do you have / video consoles? Okay, I have right now I have 47 video game consoles, and yeah, the most valuable game that I have, or the most expensive one, is this one. I also already showed this game in the Q&A video from last year, in my 2-year Retro Game Bar Q&A video. It is Wing Commander: The Kilrathi Saga, which is basically the Wing Commander trilogy 1, 2 and 3, and all made to work on the Windows 95 system, or better let's say operating system, because those were old PC-DOS games. And yeah, it's worth it goes on eBay between 80 to 300 euros, which is about 100 to 400 US dollars. At least, well, let's say those are the prices that it can reach on eBay. And yeah, this is the most expensive game that I have. Yeah, next question comes from Dev Delic, and yeah, he asks, do you drink beer? Yes, I also drink beer, but I don't drink that much. But my favorite beer is called Wieselburger beer, and this is an Austrian brewery, or an Austrian beer. Okay,